It is not only on narcotic substances that an individual can become dependent. Trivial and even legally permitted or morally acceptable things can turn into vices when used inappropriately. Our anxieties, expectations, and desires tend to find an outlet in anything that provides immediate relief, even if that relief is only financial and does not satisfy our most intimate needs. This is what we observe in Requiem for a Dream. Realistically, the film, directed by Darren Aronofsky, tells the story of four characters who end up ruining their lives due to their addictions: Sarah, Harry, Mel, and Tron. Each of them has dreams they want to achieve. Sarah, Harry's mother, is a widow and spends her time watching television, hoping to appear on her favorite talk show. Harry and Sarah are a couple who are very much in love, but addicted to heroin and other drugs. Sarah dreams of opening a store to sell the clothes she designs, while Ronnie, a friend of the couple, is also a drug addict but dreams of doing something his mother would be proud of. Requiem for a Dream depicts how these dreams are destroyed by addictions, and the title suggests that each is on the way to the grave. The notion of time in the film is presented through 3 seasons. It starts in the summer, where things are going relatively well, although the 3 friends' drug addiction has not yet reached rock bottom. Sarah, a dedicated mother, tries to understand her son, who constantly sells his television to feed his addiction, leading her to constantly buy a new TV. At this stage of the film, Sarah receives a call to appear on television, which leads her to want a more attractive appearance and start a radical diet. Initially, she eats little, but, unable to bear her hunger, she seeks out a doctor of dubious character who prescribes appetite-suppressant pills. Sarah becomes addicted to these pills, a drug that keeps her agitated during the day and a strong sedative that puts her to sleep at night. The 3 friends, on the other hand, begin to give in to the drugs they buy to get money and make their dreams come true. Initially, everything seems to go well. However, the season that follows summer, autumn, is a clever pun as it can also be translated as fall. It is in autumn that everything begins to fall apart, collapsing in the lives of the 4 characters. Their lives enter a downward spiral, and each one faces experiences that lead to personal decline. Sarah begins to have hallucinations at home due to drugs and hunger, while her friends' businesses are structured, but they begin to spend the money they earn to feed their own addictions. Harry and Ronnie desperately look for ways to obtain drugs to resell, but fail. Harry injects so much drug into his arm that it begins to deteriorate. The characters take increasingly worse actions, leaving viewers increasingly astonished. In winter, the characters' most decadent season, they get involved in orgies sponsored by people who offer drugs in exchange for the spectacle. Each of them ends in a desperate situation. Ronnie is arrested with a withdrawal crisis, far from achieving something that would make his mother proud. Harry has his arm amputated to avoid death, and Sarah is admitted to a psychiatric hospital. The final scenes of each character, captured in an aerial shot as the camera slowly zooms out, show them in the fetal position, revealing the destruction of their personalities and the absence of redemption. The film uses quick cut sequences to show how each character is indulging in drugs, highlighting the symbolic equivalence of addictions. This sequence of quick cuts shows the process of drug consumption and the parallel effects on Sarah's life, who, like her friends, succumbs to addiction in its specific form. The morbid soundtrack intensifies the degradation of the characters, highlighting the absence of redemption. The film concludes winter with all the characters destroyed by their addictions, with no hope of a renewing spring. Philosopher Roger Scruton defines addiction as arising when the subject has total control over pleasure, capable of producing it at will, essentially reducing it to sensory delight. It involves a short-circuiting of the pleasure network and forms characterized by the loss of the emotional dynamics that would normally govern a cognitively creative and outward-looking life. Scruton also states that the addict is someone who constantly turns the key to pleasure, bypassing thought and judgment to settle in the realm of indulgence. This suggests that, in a normal life, people will experience pleasure as they experience certain things, as pleasure arises from the way of life and happens throughout it. However, when someone seeks immediate pleasure and wants absolute control over that experience, addiction arises. The addict seeks to reduce the time between experimentation and sensation, seeking momentary pleasure that he considers an essential need. If you like the content and want to help us continue, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment or suggestion about a book, film, series, anime that you want to see analyzed on the channel. These pleasures may originate from a compulsion to perform in a society where failure and error are unacceptable. The incessant quest to be better in everything leads people to desire immediate pleasures, forgetting that we are limited beings prone to making mistakes throughout our lives. Thus, contemporary society, when living this way, ends up indulging in pleasures as an escape from frustrations, but this leads to destruction. It is crucial to recognize that life should not be fundamentally pursued for pleasure, as this can become part of us in a way that often has no return. The philosopher Scruton highlights the importance of maintaining balance and maturity, learning to deal with suffering. Anything, when pursued inappropriately, can turn into an addiction, and good things can be corrupted by their improper use. Life, once lived in the warmth of the summer of existence, may end up facing the cold of the winter without any expectation of a rebirth in the spring. The author of Ecclesiastes reminds us that life under the sun is vanity. In the second chapter of his book, he highlights that, no matter how much we desire pleasures and no matter how much we have enjoyed many of them, everything is vanity. Everything passes, and only what is truly significant is not ephemeral. Without an expectation of the eternal, without a purpose beyond ourselves, we become like addicts, seeking a fleeting pleasure that ultimately destroys our essence.